Hello, everyone. In this episode of the Parallel Physiques podcast, we talk about getting uncomfortable. No one's really comfortable getting uncomfortable, right? It's not really something that we seek out daily or weekly or, very often at all. However, Kenneth and I talk about me getting uncomfortable and what that means for me and what that means for our clients and what getting uncomfortable means for everyone on the planet. This is probably one of the best podcasts we have ever done. Come on in. Join us for the conversation about really what it's going to take for you to be successful towards your goals this year. Welcome to episode 34. Look frazzled.
It's been a day.
Has it been
I
a day?
also had to shave my face and my head, or I was going to look really homeless on camera.
Oh
And
no.
we don't want that to
You know,
happen.
you know what I'm thinking of doing? Give me your opinion. You see my hair, okay? Right? All the curly. This is
Uh-huh.
natural, okay? I think I kind of want to do bangs. No? This is the shortest part of my hair. Like that's the shortest part of my hair.
Okay, so let me tell you something about me. Um, I don't like change when it comes to the people that I care about.
Uh-huh.
So, like, the way you showed up in my world
Yeah.
is the way you will forever have to be.
Mm.
You you can't change your hairstyle. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Oh.
I'm just gonna say this. I'm really glad I'm not your girlfriend or your wife. My husband just looks at me and goes, do whatever you want. It's your hair. And I go, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I also think, I don't know, I think this is a true statement for men. Most men, Joe may be different. When you meet the woman that you're dating or married to or whatever, there's a certain hairstyle that they typically have,
True.
and that's what makes them attractive to you.
True.
So if all of a sudden, because I remember my mom had longer hair, and then one day she just came home and it was chopped completely off and it was frosted at the tips.
Oh, nice.
And
Easy.
I remember thinking like, I don't I don't think this is good. And I don't think my dad liked it too much
Your
either.
dad was like, I got a girlfriend down the street. I'll see you later.
It was rough. It was rough. So like, that's kind of how I feel about it. You may not want my advice. Uh,
You know, right? You remember I told you that during COVID I shaved my head, right?
I remember you telling me that. I never saw it though.
Oh, if you go to my Facebook page, and
Hmm.
go to my coaching page, not my
Right.
personal page, the picture on there is my hair like grown out, I don't know, 4 months from being shaved.
Ah.
Mhm.
Um, I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah.
So your reel was great today.
Thank you.
You were Laura. You were Laura today.
Was I?
Like I just turned on my phone and you were right there, and I was like, yes. And I was like, she's finally she's finally being her in front of the camera, the way she is with me on the phone. It was great.
Good. Well, you know what's funny is I was talking to Joe on the phone, and I don't know how we got on the subject. We were talking about stuff in general. And I was talking, because I was telling him I was talking to Megan about um
Mm,
stuff and just people in general and how challenging and challenging it is to work with women, but particularly because I have a soft spot for educators, right? I'm like,
right,
that's like the triple threat when it's a woman
right.
and they're like 40s and they're educators. They will
Hmm.
never do anything for themselves.
That
And
was my mom.
they wear it like a badge of honor, and they'll kill themselves for everyone. And it's like,
Yes.
you stop being a martyr, because no one really cares. No one cares
Hmm.
that you're doing that, you know?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and I was talking to Joe, and you know what I said? You know what I did? I go,
What?
"Hey, honey." He goes, "What?" I go, let me call you back in about 3 minutes. He's like, "Okay." So I get off the phone and I quick hit the video and I just did it because,
That's perfect.
like, because I had the passion, right? So,
Yeah. Hmm.
and then I called
That's
him.
perfect.
I go, "I just had to do a video quick."
Yeah. No, that's perfect. Because can you imagine if we would have videoed me as I was talking to you last night?
That would have been fabulous. And then my reactions would have been even better.
Oh, I wonder what they were,
Yeah.
facial at least,
Well,
facial reactions.
I tell you what, it was interesting last night, because, or yesterday in general, I had four, is it four? Three-hour long calls, and then talk to you for an hour. So 4 hours. And I pace when I talk. So I walked the entire time.
So did you have 15,000 steps?
I don't even check my steps anymore. I had at least that because I took the dog for a walk earlier in the day. But I tell you what, it was also leg day. And so by the time I was done talking to you, my quads were so sore. So
You were done.
it was a good day. I was done. I was done. I was tired. So I was uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in a physical way. I was uncomfortable in a physical way, along with
So I also am.
uncomfortable.
I'm sore because
Yeah.
I'm training harder than I'm trained in years.
Are you eating more food now, or are you still in your cut? What's
Yes,
okay?
I have
Yes.
60 grams of fat.
Oh,
Do
you're
you
done.
know? Do you know how that feels? That feels so good to me.
I'm on 40 grams of fat, so no, I don't know. I think it would
That's
be
so
beautiful.
good. That extra 20 is like, what's up?
I can kick through 40 grams of fat pretty fast. I've noticed.
Me too. And so, uh, yeah, I'm eating about 325 grams of carbs, 220 grams of protein, 60 grams of fat, which is more, just slightly more, about
A
20
lot.
grams of fat more, and about 50 grams of carbs more than I was eating in a deficit.
That's a,
So, um, the food is great. I'm hungry, very hungry.
mhm,
My training is great. I am up like 4 pounds already. My body's rapidly changing.
mhm.
Um, it's it's really cool. Like it's the first time I've been on performance enhancing drugs at any significant amount of level. Um, and gosh, probably since we met.
Mhm.
And so um, I just have this like renewed sense of passion for training, and like the uncomfortable part is me pushing myself in training for the first time in like 3 years. I feel like I'm being a bodybuilder again, which is good. But you know, we you and I got all kinds of stuff we're doing that are uncomfortable. You need to talk about yours.
Well, my deficit is still uncomfortable. Um, yeah, what's interesting is, so like, to bridge the gap between the two, right? I'm gonna, like, full disclosure, my deficit is uncomfortable and I'm hungry all the time, right? Um, and
Are you hungry right now?
oh yeah. Um, and I don't know if you know this. I A lot of people who know me know this. My nemesis when I'm hungry is peanut butter. That's like,
Me too.
right?
That and cheese.
Oh, see, I'm not cheese, but peanut butter for sure. Well, we don't have cheese in the house, so but we have peanut butter. Um, right now, pretty much anything I would do. But what's interesting is I've gotten uncomfortable in a different way, like psychologically uncomfortable, educationally uncomfortable, whatever you want to call it, in the last 3, 4, 5 days. And so it's interesting to have those two coupled together because full disclosure, like last night and the night before, I was like, well, I have a little bit of fat left. I can have some peanut butter right out of the jar.
Did you
So,
overeat?
well, that depends on what you define as overeat.
Laura.
I had some peanut butter, and I was very cognizant of the amount of peanut butter I was eating. But I did go over. I did go over, obviously. So that's the last.
So how many so okay, since we're going to talk about peanut butter. When I was like 30, I would not eat all day. I would work this corporate job that just wore me out.
Mhm.
And by the time I got in the car and drove from my office to the house, it was enough for my central nervous system to kind of calm down. And what happens? The hunger signal starts just
Super hungry.
rolling.
Wait, time out. People listen to this because I have so many women that I work with who go, "I'm never hungry," and it's because you're stressed out. Thank you. Go.
Yes.
Yes.
So I didn't realize that at the time, but I remember thinking, why do I always crave peanut butter when I'm driving home and walking in the door? So I would almost knock anybody in my way down, and I would get to the big jar of Jif natural peanut butter, and I would take scoops out with a big spoon, not the little spoon, the big spoon, and I would eat it.
Mhm.
And you know how many spoonfuls I would eat? Like 4 or 5. Like I was going through peanut butter like we fill up our gas tank in
Mhm.
our cars.
Mhm.
And then, you know, my wife at the time, she said, well, what do you want to have for dinner? DiGiorno pizza was like
Oh my God.
the staple. It was our staple.
That's
Now, granted, I'm a very, my eating habits are terrible. I went to the gym every day.
terrible.
I could not out train a bad diet at all. I looked like a tub of goo.
Mhm.
Um, I was strong, but I was fat.
Mhm.
And we would probably have DiGiorno pizza 2 or 3 times a week. So it was just like, yeah, peanut butter is a big deal. So if I go into a dieted state, it's like, probably not going to eat peanut butter. Probably not
Mhm.
going to have it in the house
Well,
because
I
I
have
get white girl wasted on peanut butter.
one of my meals of my day, though. You're going to love this. One of the meals of my day on a training day is so I will eat chicken for pretty much everything except breakfast, right? I have egg whites and a little bit of chicken breast in my egg whites, and I have oats, and a clementine. Um, but one of my other three meals of the day is 32 grams of peanut butter, a scoop of angel food cake protein powder, a banana, water in it, smush it up. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is my favorite meal of the day.
So
But,
that right there
but by the
just
time,
proves that you've been dieting.
but by the time, right? But by the time I'm done with that and the two chicken breast meals, like I don't have any fat left. I have like maybe a gram or two, and that's it. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, that kind of eats it out. When I
I
was
can do the same thing.
So when I was full on in my anorexia and bulimia, let's see, how old was I? 40. Sad. Um, uh, I would come home. I was working part time as an instructional coach at the school. I had my own yoga business that I did part time. I trained it. There was a lot going on. Um, I would come home half day from work and let the dog out and all that. And I would sit down in front of the TV with a jar of peanut butter and a jar of jelly and a spoon. And I would get a little peanut butter and I would dip it in the jelly and get a little jelly and eat. And it was mindlessly eating. It wasn't like paying attention because the TV was on and I was watching television and I just started, oh God, Wow. Like
Oh,
there wasn't, and then there wasn't dinner, right? 'Cause,
so there wasn't a lot of uncomfortable there. That was comfort
oh,
all the
peanut
way.
butter, and that's the thing. Peanut butter is my comfort, right? So what you're hearing me talk about is I'm doing some uncomfortable things that we'll talk about in terms of my work and how I work and the things I need to be aware of. So that's all mental, emotional, whatever. Um, Physically, I'm uncomfortable. And what I've realized in seriously, we're always learning, right? We say that all the time. Within the last 24 ish hours, 36 hours, okay, 24 hours, I have realized that when I am uncomfortable, even though I'm bought into this cut, and even though I love what happens when I completely follow the plan, peanut butter is my comfort. And it is very difficult to stay away from it, particularly when I wasn't aware that peanut butter is my comfort, right?
Right.
Today is a lot easier because I'm like, okay, I'm just
So
not.
I'm going to throw something at you that's not as bad as peanut butter, but it's comfort.
Okay.
And I eat it almost every day. One is my first meal of the day.
Mhm,
I get 300 grams of egg whites,
mhm,
2 eggs,
mhm.
and 3 packets of cheddar cheese grits. I make the cheddar cheese grits in a bowl.
I don't know where I would find those. I live in the north.
Uh, you might be able to find them.
Mhm.
Um, have you ever had grits?
I have. I love them.
Yeah, so like even like the cheddar cheese part is like really great. Like it's like but it's not like high fat. It's like an artificial flavor, but it tastes cheesy. So here I am, 3 packets, put the packets in the bowl, put it in the microwave, cook my eggs, scramble them up, put the scrambled eggs in my grits,
Mhm,
and I eat that like it is my last supper.
mhm.
It is just the most comforting thing. It feels like I'm cheating, but it's not. It's like the least amount of, you know, it's not the least amount of calories, but it's the least amount of fat that you could eat in a meal and feel like you're eating something comfortable. Another meal, chicken thighs,
Uh-huh.
boneless chicken thighs, cut the fat off, put them in a pan with some onions or onion powder and some Italian seasoning.
Mhm.
Girl, slap your mama good. And then you put it on some rice and
Uh,
you get some zucchini and some squash and and it's so good. I could sit there and eat those 2 meals for the rest of my life. And that's eating clean all
mhm.
day long. But it feels like I'm just cheating and it's just the greatest thing.
I'll have to try that. I like the chicken thigh idea. I wonder
Yeah,
if I can
you
find
should
one.
try it.
Yeah.
Clients should you should try that if you're able. But um I want to hear more about this other uncomfortable thing you're doing.
This other uncomfortable thing I'm doing. So it is, see, it's so uncomfortable. It's even hard to talk about. And it's not that. It's really not that uncomfortable. It's my perception of being uncomfortable, right? I always talk about that.
So explain that.
Well, so what it is
Explain your perspective, your perspective on being uncomfortable.
um when I am uncomfortable, I perceive that as stressful, and it's overwhelming, and it's necessary, and um it is going to make me be better, do better, and do more and work to my potential, which is a different level of deserve than I'm used to. So,
Ooh.
so my life, and you know what? And you're going to hear me say some things that probably sound really strange coming from me. But I'm pretty smart. So I went through school and I didn't have to work hard. Like I went through,
Me too.
yeah, elementary, middle school, high school. Like I didn't have to work hard. I
Me
could
too.
I could half-ass it and get A's. And I'm like, what more do you want? Like, and everybody, I graduated in 1989, and I don't, whatever, I don't know if it's different now. I'm sure some places are different, but basically you couldn't do better than that. And no one expected you to do better than that. The letter was the important thing. Now, being in education, all those years I was in education, like I don't give a shit what letter grade you get. I care that you're working to your potential because that's different for a lot of
Right.
people. So I was never taught in school how to do that. I was never taught anywhere how to work to my potential. So I got to college and that was pretty freaking easy too. It
Yeah.
wasn't hard. When it got hard, I would stop. So when I went to college, I did 2 years. My major was theater and my minor was dance. And I got pushback on that because my parents were like, "You're never going to make any money. Oh my God." Like, thanks for the support.
Yeah.
Anyway, because I could have been
I
in
mean,
it.
they weren't wrong.
Wait, hey, if I was good enough, I could have made money. Thanks for the support. Anyway, but so when I started to get, like, when there was that voice in my head that was like the doubt, when the doubt came in, right? When the doubt came in, I listened to that and it paralyzed me. And I, among other reasons, some, interesting things that happened, I had to move out of my parents' house after my second year of college. And so I quit school. Um, and my
And
life,
you can let it be known like you didn't have the greatest of upbringings.
oh no, no, not even close. I
So
mean,
like
I shouldn't say not
so
even.
like if you're listening, it was rough.
It was rough. It was rough. Yeah.
So
It was rough for pretty much everybody in the house.
like if we told the story, you'd sit there sort of in silence thinking to yourself, "Wow." And then we would move on in the story and you would probably sit there and think, Laura really turned out really well for what she's been through. You know, it's like,
But
wow.
that's the interesting thing though, right? Is I turned out really well, but I didn't turn out as good as I could have,
Sure.
right? Because things happened, because I I made certain choices in the moment over time, and I never ever was able to realize my potential. I went back to school 6.5 years later, and I chose to become a teacher because I wanted to help people, not because I wanted to necessarily be a teacher. But when I went to school to be a teacher, I'll tell you what, it was really easy. It was so easy. There were a couple tough classes because I had to take a math class and that was bad. But um, it was easy. It's always been easy. And I've never learned how to work to my potential. So I now am out of education. I've been out of education for geez, seven years. And this is what I do. I'm a functional health coach, a nutrition coach. Um I work with people to make them reach their goals, to get them where they want to go. I train,
Change their life.
I do, right? I change their life. Um, but I don't do a good job of doing the work and getting myself to a place where I'm helping enough people because I want to help everybody. And I want to be super busy and I want to help as many people as I can. And I'm not right now. And so I chose to work with a business coach. And
Mm-hmm.
so my uncomfortable space isn't working with people. I love that. Like I love doing that. I'm not going to say that's easy. It's
There's
challenging.
some uncomfortable aspects to it.
There are. But the business part of it, that's really challenging for me. That's really
Sure.
uncomfortable for me. Like uh, going down deep into the layers of my deserve level and working to my potential and feeling like I know I'm good at what I do. I can get people the results they want. it's hard for me to get people for a variety of reasons, right? So the business coaching is really, it's really an uncomfortable thing because I'm having to face things that I haven't faced before.
Like inadequacies or shortcomings or
Yeah, I'm stretching myself. I'm challenging myself. Um, and it's not, and it's like I said, it's facing the fact that it is up to me. It is up to me to work to my potential. I can say all day long, I was never taught in school to work to my potential. Well, guess what? Let me tell you this, bitch, and I can say it to myself. I'm over the age of 18. It's my responsibility now.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna interject there for a second. It's interesting how similar we are in this area. So when you talk about high school, I didn't make A's, but I didn't care. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Like I just like I mean I made A's and B's and maybe a C, but like I didn't care. I didn't really see value in anything we were learning. I was intrigued about social studies at certain periods of time. So I'd be like, oh, look at that history. That's interesting. But the amount of effort I actually put in was like, gosh, nothing.
Mhm.
And so I made A's and B's and C's, but it was A's and B's up until a certain point in high school, and then I had a couple C's, and it was math, and so then math was like the challenging thing for me.
Math sucks. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I've always been. I'll tell you what it was, and this is actually kind of crazy that we're talking about this because my teacher just passed away, literally
Oh,
yesterday, 2 days ago.
oh my gosh.
She was a terrible woman. She really was. I can't really say anything nice about her,
Is
and
that just
that's why I'm gonna
that's
say
because
that,
you didn't
right?
like
So
math?
like, oh yeah, so she was my math teacher, and she was something else. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
I could go into explicit detail about how much she was something else, but I did not like her. She did not treat me well,
Mhm.
and this was in like sixth grade.
Oh,
In sixth grade, you're learning algebra. That's like you're really like kind of molding who you're going to be because then you're going to go into high school and you're going to be really intimidated
mhm.
by math classes and stuff. So, that was the only class I struggled in, but I also didn't care, keep in mind. So I think I got like, I graduated with like a 3.0
Mhm.
in high school, which is not great when you think about like honors classes and how it's weighted and all the things.
We didn't even have honors classes when I went to high school.
I know because you graduated high school. What was it? 7 years after I was born. So
Oh,
that's the difference.
there you go. I don't look it either. Don't even.
So what ultimately happened is I waitlisted at a college and I got into another one and I only applied to two.
Wow.
And the one I got waitlisted into was Appalachian State. And people were probably like, if anybody knows anything about Appalachian State, um, it's probably more prestigious now, but at the time, I think an entire year of education there was 6 grand.
Nice.
I think I got out of school with like $20,000 from debt. I was an art major. Interesting. Hmm.
Wow. Okay.
So I was very talented in art, so much so that every art program that I took in high school, I had no curriculum. The teacher would tell me, hey, you get to do whatever you want. Or I have this special project. Or we're going to do the cover of the yearbook. Or we're going to do whatever. And that's what I did. I didn't do what everybody else did. I sat in the corner of the room and I kind of just did whatever I wanted. I was really, 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 really good. Like stupid good. Um, so I got into art school at Appalachian State. That's why I got waitlisted because it's difficult to get in.
Okay.
My grade wasn't high enough. It was, but it wasn't. So my portfolio had to sort of speak for itself. And luckily it did. And so I got in. And so when you get into the art school, um, what I find is you are now hanging out with all of these people that are all the best of the best. And not only was I in this room with all these people, but they were hippies. Have I ever been a hippie?
You're so
Uh,
far from being a hippie.
Right. I'm the furthest thing from it that you could ever be. So here I am. I've got like cargo shorts on. I've got a polo shirt. I've got an Appalachian State hat on and some Nikes. And that's what I wore. And so I walk into the building and I don't smell like incense. I don't have beeswax dreadlocks in my hair. I I'm not wearing Jinko jeans. I'm not wearing Vans. So all those types of things. So I'm a fish out of water. I'm uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And I get this first class, this drawing. I'm a badass drawer where I was. Like really, really badass. Give me a pencil. I could duplicate anything you tell me to duplicate. But I did it my style.
Hmm.
That's what I cultivated. So I take this class, it's strong. Susie Winters, and I've told some of my clients this story, so bear with me. Susie Winters was the professor. I didn't like her. She was a hippie. Um, she was kind of brash. She was short with me, and she wanted it by the book. You tell me in any time during our relationship in which I have played by the book.
Yeah, you don't do that.
I don't fucking do that. Like, I think outside the box. I do things my way. I don't like to be told what to do. And there's all kinds of things that went on there. I don't like to be micromanaged either. So that's what she ultimately started to do. Well, guess what? I just started skipping class. And you could only skip so many classes until it started to affect your grade.
Sure.
So that was 15 classes because the class was every day. My grade was an A, but my participation in the attendance was bringing it down to like a B or a C at the time. So I finally like stopped, you know, I stopped not going. And we have this final project. And she was like, it needs to evoke emotion. It needs to tell a story. And, there's web cameras back then that, hung on on your computer. They're built in now.
Yeah,
And I'm in my dorm room. My roommate's sitting behind me. And my roommate was like this really quiet guy. His name's Ryan Dino. If he ever listens to the podcast, yo, what's up? So, um, he's also why I like the Green Bay Packers. Anyway, I take a picture of myself. And if you're watching the podcast, I'm holding my hands on my head like this, and I'm scrunching my face like this. And it's like this upset feeling that I'm trying to evoke. And I fucking nail that portrait. I nail it.
nice.
Like, in fact, I do it within like 30 minutes. And I turn around and I make the face and I'm holding the picture in front of Ryan. And Ryan's like, what? This is insane.
Mm-hmm.
You're crazy talented. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I know. Right. Well, I walk in to class and my last name's Almond. I'm the very first one to present.
Sure.
Got a big old smile on my face, right? No. Straight face, hold my picture up. I'm like, you've asked us to do something that evokes emotion. And I am telling you that this is how I felt the entire time in your class. Been miserable.
Whoa.
I've hated every second of it. In fact, what you've made me want to do is quit art. And I dropped my art on the floor and I walked out the room. And I got an A in the class.
Nice.
But I never picked up another pencil ever again.
Oh.
Because you know why? She made it uncomfortable,
Mhm.
and I quit.
Mhm.
And then I went into graphic design. Man, easy. Coasted my way all the way through that thing. Me and my roommate hung out. That's how I chose my degree. I was like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "Graphic design." I'm like, "I'll do that too."
Oh no.
That's what I did. And we're just literally hanging out in these labs and like doing whatever we want. And it was sweet. Guess what? Graduated with like a 3.0 total in my major. It was like a 3.9
Mhm.
or something. And so, no, never challenged myself. Don't like it. It's uncomfortable. The only time I started challenging myself and making myself uncomfortable was with bodybuilding.
Right.
And then it's with coaching. You know, it's funny. I still don't challenge myself enough as a coach because it still kind of comes pretty easy to me,
Mhm.
right? So like the information, what we learn, or what Austin has taught us, what Sam has taught us, all that stuff, it's kind of like just been osmosis for me.
Mhm.
Then I have people skills that give me the ability to communicate things really well. I'm not saying I'm the best, but it's been fairly easy. So what you're doing right now, whew, got somebody peering inside going, "Hey, Laura, what you got going on there?"
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
Yeah.
I would be uncomfortable too.
Yeah. It's a really interesting process. Because I am ultimately, and and I just started working with this business coach, and the intake form was like 75 questions, which is, a lot, all different areas, whatever. And I'm not the person I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, and I'm not gonna lie, because why would I lie? I need to get something out of this, right? If I'm gonna do
Hmm.
this, I'm gonna go all in, and that's how it's gonna be. And one question, there were a couple of questions that he was shocked at my answers. One of them was, "Are you happy?" And I just said no. That was my answer. And he said, "That's amazing. Uh, most people," and I go, like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah." He said, "Most people will just say yes." He said, and then I start asking them questions and digging deeper, and I find out that no, they're not. They're really not. And they can't even face that, right?
Hmm.
And I can say, no, I'm not, because, and then we went deeper, right? Because I love my husband. I'm happy there. Where, it's not like I'm unhappy overall, everything
Right.
sucks, because it's not.
And I
There,
just bring all the joy into your life that, you need.
just, yes, for sure. But I tell you what, good friends do bring the joy. That's true. You got to have that. But where I'm unhappy is I'm not where I not where I personally want to be. Like
Right.
I said, like, it
Your
seriously,
standard.
I'm not good with stillness. I'm not good with, I need to be moving, and I need my brain to move. I need to be able to problem solve, and I need to be able to help people. I need to be able to get people to their goals.
You need to hold the standard
Yeah. Yeah. And it's,
that
nice.
you have in your head. And it's interesting. Oh, this is interesting.
Hmm.
You have standards for your clients.
Oh, absolutely.
There's times where I've seen you struggle to hold them to the standard that you have for them.
Mhm.
Not all the time.
Right.
It's like ebb and a flow, right? But also I think that's what's inside of us because I can do that too. So I have a standard for my pros. I got a couple that aren't really holding the standard right now.
Mhm.
Well, if that's the case, that's a them problem, but I'm also not holding them to the standard, maybe, right? And so, like you and I both probably need to hold the standard that we have in our head for ourselves. And I wonder if we did that, if the people that aren't holding the standard, who are capable, would.
maybe. So what you're saying is basically, we have to hold the standard for ourselves working with other people so that,
No, what I'm saying is hold the standard for yourself
yeah,
in what you want to be,
yes.
in what your goal is,
Hmm.
whatever goal you said is going to make you happy.
Hmm. Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then it's the same with our clients. They have a goal, but we put a standard on it.
Yeah.
Like we set the standard. This is a standard that you have to meet to get to the goal.
Yep.
And so how many people are meeting the standard? I'll tell you right now, Gen Pop competitors, 75% of them are not.
Hmm.
Are not. Now, I will say, is that all on me? No. There's a lot of people that need a lot of help and work and, moving forward. But I'm just trying to be a devil's advocate here.
Right, right. The big thing with that too is we can hold the standard, but we also have to understand that the progress toward the standard is
It's
also
different.
right. Yeah, yeah, right. So
But
even
like in my mind, when I think about you as a client, as a business partner, I see your potential that I don't even know that you see.
which is what
So
we do
in
with
my
our clients too.
so in my mind, the standard that I have is really high for you.
Mhm.
I give you grace because I realize that you may not see it or that you're trying to get there,
Mhm.
but you're not, it's just slow. And so, but
Which
man, if
honestly,
I
just like our clients though, like I had a conversation with a client yesterday and then we were texting today, and it's like, it is slow. Be patient. Do the work. We're going to get there.
well, I mean, I think about Chris. You and I have been talking to Chris over the week, right?
Mhm.
And we kind of came to like some unearthing of some things with her. Chris has been a client of mine for a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And we've healed her gut. We've made some. There's been some successes, but really, we haven't met her standard, and we sure as hell haven't met my standard. Right? My standard is like, yeah, you got to be a badass. We're not there yet, but like she's recognizing that she wants that standard for herself, and she's taking steps for the first time to get uncomfortable to hold the standard for herself.
And I think that's key, right? Is to go to decide that you want to hold, that you want to hit that standard, and know that you're going to be uncomfortable and do it anyway.
Ooh, that's a mission statement.
Right? Gonna hold the standard. I'm gonna be uncomfortable and I'm gonna do it anyway. And that's what we ask our clients to do, right? Is like, here's what we're asking you to do. We know you're going to be uncomfortable. We want you to do it anyway, because we know the payoff is worth it. Right? Which is
Laura,
why,
we are onto something here.
I'm doing what I'm doing, right? Is because we all know Laura is very frugal. So for Laura
No,
to pay,
no,
to pay,
no,
to pay,
no, stop,
what?
stop, no, stop. It is not frugality that you
Yes,
have.
it is.
You are cheap.
Help me out, people. It's
You're
frugal.
the you're the cheapest person that I've ever known other than me.
God. So, but so I, where I'm at, right, is, and one of my clients actually, like, we've conversed about, Megan knows. I'll just say it. Megan knows. She heard some of the conversation I had, initial conversation I had with this business coach. And she texted me later and she said it was so wonderful and inspiring to hear you having that conversation, because you're the client and he's the coach. And it's so weird to hear that it's different to be on the other side to hear that. And she said, uh, I know that you always like to grow, but I see that like it's right there. She can see that I'm actually walking the walk, talking the talk. But my goals, like in order for me to reach my goals, I have to get uncomfortable, do the steps he tells me to do. I'm literally right now, I'm just putting the blinders on and doing what he tells me to do. Like do the action steps because there's thought behind the action steps that I have to do, right? Which makes
Yes.
me very tired, right? It's tiring. And when we work with our clients, that's what we're doing is we know this is going to be difficult. We know the steps you have to take. We know the results you're going to get. You just need to be patient and you just need to go, I'm going to do this and keep those goals in mind and be uncomfortable. If you don't, here's the thing. I used to say this a lot. I'm going to be really, oh my gosh. This brings something up for me. I used to say this all, Joe and I used to have these conversations because growing up where I grew up, I knew a lot of people, and we've moved around and stuff. A lot of people where the end of the day they go home, they get up the next day, they go to work, da 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 da. Friday comes, they go to happy hour. They wake up the next morning, they hang around at home, they watch football games, they have beers, they hang out with their friends, they're in the garage drinking. I mean, and there's no thought to, is there something different that I could be doing to better myself or to better someone else? That was my perception. Now, I don't know if that's true, but my perception,
No, I think it is true.
right? Because it's like, wow, you get to leave work at work and you don't bring it home and you don't think about how can I improve or how can I make that different for that person or how can I help that person improve? When I know Joe and I have this all the time, like we come home and we're like, we got to do more. We got to think it through better. We have to find the answers. We have to figure it out. And we don't leave work at work all the time.
And Joe's great at his job too.
Yeah. So it's that I always thought it would be so nice to be able to be comfortable like that, where you just go home and on the weekends you're like just hang out, not a big deal. You know what I mean? And just eat what you want, drink what you want, watch what you want, all that kind of stuff. I thought, man, but I can't do that. I have to be uncomfortable. And this is
Do
just
you think, so I have a hypothesis? Uh, I think we've talked about this maybe briefly in another podcast, but I listened to a podcast about a former CIA agent, and that former CIA agent was talking about the criteria to be hired into the CIA as an agent. And this criteria, it was so interesting. So interesting. He's like, you have to have a certain level of childhood trauma. If you have too little childhood trauma, you do not drive towards excellence and you will not be elite. If you have too much childhood trauma, you will not drive towards excellence and you will not be elite. It has to be within a certain amount. And that's the type of person that they take. And when I survey my life, your life, some of our colleagues who I hold in high esteem, we all kind of had this like, childhood,
mm-hmm.
right? But how many clients do we have where they have not experienced maybe childhood trauma and maybe they're just not self-aware, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they've experienced maybe significantly more than we have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so much harder to get them to achieve excellence. And I think you said this, and this is profound. You said there's these things that I have to do that make me uncomfortable. And makes me think about things. And these forethoughts that I have are making me tired.
Mhm.
So the
Work.
change that's required to make you excellent or elite or to hold the standard in which you have in your head makes you tired mentally.
Mhm.
If I have 75% of my clients not holding the standard, that means the hard stuff makes them so tired, or they're so scared of the hard stuff because they don't want to be mentally tired, or they're not mentally tough enough to deal with being tired,
Mhm.
that they don't do it. Do we just crack a code or something up in this motherfucker right now?
It's like, well, you know this. It's like when you go to therapy. It's an hour of
Oh Lord.
therapy. But Jesus Lord, does it take your energy for the rest of the day? If you actually did the work, you're going to be tired.
Well, and then then it's like, yeah, doing the work. When you and I talk post therapy, usually it's like, hey, just had therapy. Talk to you more. I mean, like it's not a lot. I mean, we might like touch on some things, but then like if I know I have calls that day and I'm pouring into my clients the way that I do, and I was explaining to a new client today, like you don't know yet, but you'll know how much I pour in at the times in which you need.
Mhm.
But you have to be aware that sometimes when it feels like I'm not pouring in, it's because I'm literally tired
Mhm.
because I've been pouring into other people. And um, yeah, that is so interesting. I really like that thought process of what you've made me start thinking about. It might even spawn off another podcast episode.
Mhm.
But the point of this, you're uncomfortable as fuck right now.
I really am. And you know what's interesting though is back to what I was saying. It also energizes me because I have
Oh,
a
I see that.
because I have a
Mm,
purpose.
I
Because
see
I'm
that.
excited. Because I'm excited to work through this. I'm
Yeah,
excited to watch as it happens. I'm excited to be able to say, I did that. I
right.
worked through that and I did that. Is it hard when you're in the trenches on the daily? Yeah, absolutely. And I equate that and I tell
So
my
do you think that mindset of being excited to achieve the results is innate?
no, no. I think you can teach yourself to do that. And it's really, that's that perception piece, right? Is if I sat here every day and said, oh, I don't want to answer those questions. And oh, I don't want to do that thing. And oh, this is so hard. And oh, I could just turn on Suits because I'm, watching
Are you still watching Suits?
I'm rewatching all the seasons. Anyway, I'm like, or I could play with my dog, or I could all the things. If I did that, if I allowed my thought process to go there, I wouldn't do it and I wouldn't be excited. My thought process is this: every single question I answer, every step I take, every tracking piece that I do on a spreadsheet, every email I send out, every one of those things gets me one step closer
Right.
to being comfortable, to having the systems, and to reaching my goal, because my goal is to make as many people as I can who come to me and allow me to do it to change their life. That's my goal.
Amen, sister.
That's my goal.
That's awesome. That's
And,
exactly how I
and,
feel.
and in order for people to know me and see me and hear me and work with me to change their life, they have to see me and hear me and know me. And those are the things I'm working towards. So every day, I never allow myself to have a negative perception of what I'm doing. Every day I go, I get to do this today. Check the box. I get to do this today. Check the box. And I check the box and I go, I did it. Yes. Right?
Hmm.
That's that's the mindset shift that it takes to do that. And we get very negative, and it's very easy to, and I'll tell you what, I don't share a lot of what I'm doing, not even with Joe, because this is my personal journey, and I'm uncomfortable. I'm still uncomfortable. And sometimes talking about it it weighs on me then.
Right.
It becomes heavier, and I don't need it to be that. So I'm really like, I'm digging into this and saying I'm going to be uncomfortable. And I think about my clients, right? Like I'm feeling what they're feeling, and it's interesting, right? I've had clients say to me, Laura, you have it all. Like you got this down. Like you're amazing. Like you meal prep and you do all this. And I'm like, well, for me, that's the easy part because I've done it for so long, right? That stuff is easy. This is hard because it's a different area for me. So to be able to
Right.
talk about it is really interesting because we all know, like none of us are perfect and none of us have all of it down. We all have the areas that we have to work on.
Maybe.
Maybe not you.
I'm just
But
kidding. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, um, I think this is my favorite podcast of 2024.
yeah, me too. So far,
Yeah,
so far, so far.
I like it. I hope we have other people thinking because
Dang, it's time to get
like,
uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable, people.
yeah, like get comfortable with it.
Yeah, when you know what? There's never a great time. There's never a great time.
You know, it's interesting too. Um, I'm 41 years old and like, I don't have some sort of pro physique or anything, but you know, if I walk into a normal environment with normal 41-year-old men, I stick out like a sore thumb.
Mhm.
Like I'm really different looking, right? Like my shape is different. I'm in shape. I have muscle. I have broad shoulders. And I've been doing it for so long now, like meal prepping and eating and following the plan and lifting weights and all that stuff. It's not uncomfortable for me in the sense that it was when I was 30. And a lot of times when I talk to people my age, they just look at me like I'm just doing the most uncomfortable thing that's ever happened. And so you have to remember, I think, I think if you're listening to this and you're not in your uncomfortable era yet, eventually you'll do it for long enough and it's not uncomfortable anymore.
Yes.
And when it's not uncomfortable anymore, that means you've hit the goal that you said would make you happy. And then what's probably going to happen
You're gonna set
is
another goal.
you're going to set another goal,
Yeah, you are.
and then you're going to have to get uncomfortable again. And you know, I think just me thinking. I think this year for you, my friend, is going to be like last year was for me.
Minus all the drama, right? Because
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, minus the drama, but like,
I have my
I
own
think,
drama. I have my own drama.
I think it's gonna change you as a person.
Mhm. I think so, and I think that what we are all changing every day. It just depends on whether we're changing for the positive or not.
Well, you don't necessarily have to change if you're in the garage drinking beer on Saturday.
Yeah, that's true. You might change your beer. Maybe,
Right.
maybe not.
You could just get heavier.
Well, you're changing then, right?
Right,
We
right.
we know your liver is changing. No, that's a problem, don't we? But
But I think I'll say this, and we're running up on an hour.
Mhm.
Um, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what happens.
Stay tuned. It'll be exciting.
I can't wait to see how many other podcast episodes come out of this experience.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a few. And I'm going to stay away from the peanut butter.
If you want to ever get out of this cut, that's probably the best thing you could do.
Oh my God, I need to get out of this cut so bad. Ah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. All right.
It was good talking to you.
Yes, absolutely. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, I don't know. Got to get uncomfortable. And even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, even just a little, like dip your toes in. Find something.
Take a cold shower.
Take a cold shower. 30 seconds in a cold shower. That'll be uncomfortable.
That'll get you.
That'll get you. Everybody have a wonderful week, and we'll be back with another episode of the Parallel Physiques podcast.